So I went to Amazon and I found a book called Ventriloquism, Revised Edition by this. It was written by this puppet who hangs around with this guy Don Gaylord Bryan. So I had my assistant call Mr. Bryan, and this is how you make friends. I reached out to Mr. Bryan and I said, "Can you teach me how to be a ventriloquist?" And after the second lesson, the answer was no, because I have no talent whatsoever.
Wrong.
But Don has a lot of talent. And not only is he talented with being able to make all these sounds with your mouth closed, which is really hard. I know a lot of you can't even try to imagine keeping your mouth closed during a conversation, but imagine talking and keeping your mouth closed during a conversation. That's difficult. So I met Don. Don and I have spent some time together. He's delightful and he's very talented. So I wanted to do a couple things. One, I just wanted to share the talent and the enjoyment of watching Don work live in front of an audience of estate planners and people who are interested in estate planning. And then secondly, I wanted Don to do a little presentation that I'm going to make into a YouTube video for him called The Biggest Mistakes That Ventriloquists Make. Because I've been watching a lot of ventriloquists on YouTube, and he's right, they do make a lot of mistakes. Now, my biggest mistake was trying to be one. But Don, welcome. And how would you like to get started here?
Well, hello, Alan. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you great.
Okay, great. I got rid of the headphones because I hate the feel of those. And so long as you can hear me, that's good. Well, Alan, thank you for that nice introduction and this opportunity to engage you and your audience, your people, in my craft, ventriloquism. Just to tell everybody out there, Alan really doesn't give himself enough credit. He's doing much better than he claims he is. We've had 3 lessons now. There's a lot of small technicalities that he will overcome in terms of lip movement and so on, and he's doing great. So Alan, don't put yourself down, okay? It's difficult for an accountant to be funny, I realize. No, I'm kidding you. Okay, so maybe I should just talk a bit about what I do, ventriloquism, and how come we're talking about it in your seminar, which is nothing to do with ventriloquism and has everything to do with investments, estate planning, and so on. Why me? Well, the interesting thing is, I think that one of the best ways to impart knowledge for people to take an interest in something is to have some comedy, have some laughs. Laughter is visceral. It creates a memory. It also gives an awfully good feeling and lightens up the atmosphere, particularly if you're engaged in what might be considered very dry discourse on estate planning and money matters and so on. So if you can inject a little humor into that, and even better still, you could use an avatar, let's call it that, your puppet, which would become the foil or the counter to everything that you're saying and doing, and ask the character, can ask dumb questions, things that maybe you wouldn't bring up or people wouldn't ask you because they feel a little intimidated by it, because maybe they just don't know and they'd like to find out. The puppet character can say, can call them out and say, okay, well, here's what you need to know, or not. And then, of course, you jump in and give us the real goods, the real information on what estate planning and wills and all that sort of thing is about. Anyway, ventriloquism for me, without going into a long story, began when I was 15 years old. I used to watch television, of course, and mostly radio in those days. Edgar, Bergen, Charlie McCarthy was the act in those days. Some of your listeners will know who that is. Bergen was huge on the radio. imagine a ventriloquist on the radio, right? It's like a mime doing a CD, as I always say. But he really sold it, and he was a brilliant comedian. And the character Charlie McCarthy became real to many people. It was a big show in its day, and big Hollywood stars vied to be on his show because it was a prestige to be on the Edgar Bergen Charlie McCarthy show. It was huge. Anyway, that's what started me, and I got a book on it. That's where I began. And then I met somebody, a gentleman who was a master carver. He taught me how to build puppets, carve dummies. In fact, this is one that I'm doing for you, Alan. He's in.
Looks just like the flat head in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, the flat head on the back. That part we got to work on. But anyway, this is something else that I do. I carve and build the dummies. We can call them dummies, okay? Some people get a little embarrassed and they say, "What do we call your characters?" We don't want to say dummy. No, it's a dummy. It's a puppet. It's a dummy. And of course, the character has a different point of view about that. So anyway, over the last, I could say easily 55 years, I have been performing as a ventriloquist, as an amateur, and in the later years as a professional. I have worked in every conceivable venue that is possible to be in as an entertainer. And I've had a few shots at television. I've worked with some big stars and as an opening act, and continue to work as a ventriloquist, mostly these days on cruise ships when they're sailing, and they are again. So that business is starting up. Anyway, ventriloquism is something which I think is, generally speaking, most people, it's a mystery. How do you throw your voice? Well, you don't. You don't throw your voice. It's an illusion. It's called, I would say, in Ron Lucas's words, ventriloquist of the 80s, he used the term vocal magic, and totally right. It's vocal magic. It's the art of misdirection. The better you are at keeping your lips still and disguising your voice and directing people's attention to where the source of the voice, supposedly it would be a puppet. It doesn't have to be. It can be behind a door, under the table, in a closet, in a suitcase. But that's just modulation of the sound, of creating the sound. Again, imitating what would sound like a voice coming from whatever source you want to suggest, be it a puppet or, as I say, from a hidden source. You direct people's attention to it. You create the voice that would sound like a voice, say, in a suitcase. That would give the illusion. That's how it basically works. It's not something that you have to be born with. I often have people say, "Well, you're a ventriloquist. I guess you were like automatically ordained to be a ventriloquist because you had certain vocal unique characteristics." No, I don't. Anybody can become a ventriloquist. Doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. It works. You just have to learn the technique. It's like learning to sing, say, or play an instrument. Your instrument would be your voice. You learn how to create the sounds and the character sound, character voice, whatever it is that you're working with. So that, to me, is something I would like to pass on to people and say, look, if this is interesting to you, take a look, pursue it. It's a very rewarding hobby, and it has been for me originally a hobby and became a full-time profession for me in 1986. And I haven't looked back since. I've been very, very happy with my work as a ventriloquist. The fun and laughter I brought to many people over the years is wonderful for me to have been able to do that. I've had people come up to me with an elder, say, in a wheelchair, somebody who has a serious illness, and their caretaker or their relative tells me that It's the first time they heard him or her laugh in a long time. They had a lot of enjoyment out of it. I think one of the best things too about being a ventriloquist is that through the avatar, I'll call it, the puppet, you can express and say things that perhaps you yourself would be uncomfortable with, right? It's an alter ego. It's still you, but it's a side that you can express through a puppet. Kids know this. Young kids love puppetry. Why? Because they can relate to a puppet much more easily, actually, than to an adult. So they will talk to a puppet. They will say things with a puppet. They will engage the character and enjoy the fantasy of it. And it is a fantasy. You have to suspend reality in order to, I think, become a good ventriloquist or puppeteer. It takes some years of practice, but you can learn the basic techniques, Alan, within a few months. I still have a few more lessons to go with you. He's doing okay. There are difficult parts of the production of the sound. Excuse me. Learning how to say difficult letters and words. You can use substitutions. You know, you can say B, but you can actually make a D sound like a B. But there's all manipulation of your vocal equipment, your tongue primarily. And
Show
of
us,
course, you
bring on a dummy and bring on a dummy and show. Bring on a puppet and show us.
you want me to stop talking and bring on a puppet. Okay. I have some characters here. My main character I call Noseworthy. You know who that is, Alan. I created Noseworthy back in 1964. He was actually a cartoon that a friend of mine drew, and eventually I got around to building it. So this is my friend Noseworthy. We'll just bring him into the picture.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not comfortable.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's Alan. Hello, Alan.
Clear your throat.
Thank you.
Right.
Oh, Alan, how's he doing?
Well, I don't know. Ask him.
How you doing, Alan?
Doing great. How are you? How are you doing?
Not too good. Not busy right now. Just sitting around, you know, in a suitcase a hell of a lot of the time.
Watch your mouth.
Can't nose cuts off as you. Don't bother me.
All right.
Yeah.
So Noseworthy is I guess a kind of a phenomenon for me because,
What?
well,
Yeah.
I'm talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk.
I'm trying to.
Yes. Okay. He's trying to talk.
Right.
But he's talking to himself.
All right.
This is what happens when cousins marry. Will you shut up?
Where was I?
On board a ship.
No, not right now. Noseworthy is an interesting character.
How?
Well, because you don't look like the standard dummy.
I beg your pardon.
The regular looking puppet.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Most ventriloquists sort of went after the idea that Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy established.
Yeah.
Young cheeky boy character, as we call it.
Cheeky boy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a cheeky old man.
Yeah.
Like you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're an old man.
I'm not that old.
You're old.
I'm barely touching 70.
Touching, you're beating it to death.
All right, fine. See how it goes?
Yeah.
We keep having arguments.
Yes, he talks to himself and plays with dolls.
Thank you very much. So, Alan, this is my main guy,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Noseworthy.
Noseworthy.
Yeah, can you say that without moving your mouth?
I think I did.
Okay, Noseworthy.
Right.
Noseworthy. Not that good.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, you need practice.
Right. You know, yeah, he's my own worst critic.
Yeah.
As you can see behind us,
Yeah. Who?
well, that character.
Oh, her.
Right.
Oh, God, not her.
Yes. Well, I call her Miss Annie.
Yeah.
And we're going to introduce her now.
Okay. All right, Miss Annie. I don't like it.
Never mind.
Yeah.
She doesn't like you.
I don't like it.
Now, one of the things I want to point out is that, excuse me, is that character voices are something which we all have the ability to create. It's a matter of a range, high range, low range. When you're talking in the ventriloquist dummy's voice, of course, you want to be able to hit the voice every time the same. So now Excuse me, my back. All right, here we go. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Little fire hazard.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
You and Noseworthy never did get along.
No.
No. This is I'm sorry.
Yeah. You okay?
I'll be all right.
Yeah.
This is Miss Annie.
Thank you.
I created, built about 3 years ago.
Sure.
hmm And she's the third Miss Annie that I've actually worked with and created.
Oh,
hmm
there's others.
There are others.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, that's nice.
I'm the current one.
You're the current one.
Yeah. He's not married.
No, no,
Don't touch me there.
sorry. No, we don't need to talk about my personal situation.
It's critical.
Well, I don't think it's important.
I don't think you do.
Look, I don't want to go there.
All right, fine. He's only got me.
Yes, you're it.
Sign it.
Yeah.
Without me, he's just talked to his hand.
Oh, well. Miss Annie is a foil for Noseworthy.
Thank you.
And they never got along.
No,
No,
he's a piece of work.
he's his own worst enemy.
Not when I'm in the room.
No.
Okay. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Yeah, I'm going to put you back here. Don't fall, okay? Just be steady. Yeah, okay. Well, now, Miss Annie was an evolution of a character that I started with, very difficult for me because I never planned on having a female presence in my act. But I figured, well, you know what? I need that. Noseworthy needs a partner and somebody that they could bounce off of each other. And the material runs pretty much like a couple who just constantly at nagging each other, kind of how it goes. I work both of them together. I also use a radio control, which she can work on independently while I'm with Noseworthy over here. She's over there talking and doing her thing. But that's all done electronically and wirelessly. It's just a little gimmick. One of the things that I'd like to show off, which is so simple, and it was just a discovery that I made many years ago after watching a juggler work with a tennis ball. And tennis ball, this is a little larger than a regular tennis ball. It became a puppet for me, quite simply, by just cutting that slot there. You get a mouth, and then a couple of buttons, if you like, with Velcro.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, the voice is really hard to reach right now.
Hello.
And
Sure.
Dennis.
Dennis.
Yes. What's your name?
Dennis.
Yes. Whoops, we're losing an eyeball.
I know.
How are you?
Fine.
What do you do?
I'm a bouncer.
You're a bouncer.
Yeah.
Why don't you smile?
Can't.
Why?
Not cut the right way.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you a little.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay. Here we go. Now you're going to be a little happier.
Ah,
What do we have now?
eyes on my butt.
Eyes on your butt.
Yeah.
All right. So, it's a very simple thing. Anybody can create that. I find that as I've gotten older, my voices in the high range are more difficult to reach.
Is that so?
Yes, that is so. And I have to really work on that. When I get back out on the road again, I will have myself tuned up, let's call it that. Okay, so you've seen a couple of things. Let me show you one more here. This is a novelty. Yeah. Now, this character, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, he's a bird. Yeah. Actually, a vulture. Oh, and a canary with a glandular condition. Well, nice to have you here. I'm sorry. What's wrong? Little cough. Thank you. Who that? Oh, that's Alan. What do you think? Tasty. Yeah. Yeah. He's he's not dead. I can wait. I know you can wait. Yeah. 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 He's a budding ventriloquist. What? Learning ventriloquism. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah. Good luck, Alan. Okay, that's it. Yeah. Oh, dear me. I'm sorry, Alan. I'm having a little issue with my throat this morning and had a cold a couple of weeks back, and I'm still not done. Okay, so those are my three main characters that I generally work with. I have another one which I will quickly show you. I don't use them particularly that much. Reason being is that traveling with all these extra characters is a bit of a pain because the the flying with all these suitcases. Yeah. Hello, 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 hello. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. This is Chester. Yeah. Chesterfield. Oh yeah, yeah. And that's Alan. Hello, Alan. Hello, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what do you think? Oh, well, what do you think about this? I don't which this that what what we're doing? What are we doing? You see yourself? I need a haircut. Yes, you do. Oh yeah. Well, I'm done. You're done. I'm done. Not much to do. No, you're getting kind of noisy. Yeah, I know. I need oil. You need oil. Yeah. Chester is a character which was created by a friend of mine, Tim Selberg. He is a master builder of puppets, and he works mostly in cast characters, and he creates them in numbers, meaning by that duplications. This character here is available, or at least it was. I don't think he has it anymore, but it's available if you want to order it in his catalog. And he has many other things that he produces as well. He's very, very skilled. Most of his work is done in cast fiberglass or plastics. And I prefer to work in wood. As you know, Alan, wood. So old school I am. And I have for years enjoyed, fiddling around, building a few puppets. Well, I probably have built over 30 characters over the years. For other people and for promotions for television commercials and so on. And anyway, that's sorry, that's my story. Basically, if you have any questions, Alan, please.
Yeah, we have one question is how long does it take in terms of how many weeks would it take and how many hours a week would it typically take for somebody to become reasonably proficient?
No, I don't.
Well,
I don't know.
Quiet. I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm talking.
all right.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, I would say, well, you know yourself that you've been working with it a little bit, and it requires, I would say, a couple hours a week, maybe, going through the basics, which is lip control, voice modulation, and being able to create the illusion of another voice, not yours. How long would it take? It depends on how much time you want to put into it. When I was a kid, I was 15 when I started. I was messing around with it. I didn't think I was that good, but apparently I was getting away with it because the kids at school, accused me of having a tape recorder inside the puppet. Well, that told me I guess I was doing okay. You can learn, find a voice that is comfortable for you, and work with that.
You want to try a voice like that? That's okay.
You have a voice similar to that you've shown me already with your little character, and that's fine. That works fine. As more and more you work with it, the more easily it'll be achievable. The voice will happen as you go into pick up your character and start working with it. That voice you will find it. The technique, yeah, it depends on as I said earlier, about how much time you're willing to put into it. It's a very rewarding skill. You don't have to be 100% perfect. And as I said earlier, you know, if your animation of the puppet is good, that you bring it to life. I have seen ventriloquists who weren't bad at the ventriloquial, nice word, huh? Ventriloquial technique, but they had no concept of keeping the puppet actually alive. They would talk and the dummy would just go dead. It would just sort of, and then he'd finally, after his spiel and whatever he was saying, he'd turn to the dummy and the dummy would look at him and start talking, say a couple of lines, and it would go dead again. And he would carry on with his story or whatever. So this was kind of like the dummy was just, you know, a novelty, an afterthought. It wasn't a character that was living. You want it to appear to be alive. And the character, his eyes are moving, its head is turning, it's listening, it's responding. It can't obviously have facial expressions change, but you can create the illusion of mood, if you wish, with the character, the eye movement, the head tilt, the character looking off screen, engaging with somebody else in the audience, perhaps, while the ventriloquist is trying to do his routine and the puppet's doing his routine, right? So that splits you and the character, and it adds fun and reality. I've had situations where, you know, I've been doing a spiel and the dummy, you knows where he gets bored with me and he starts flirting with a girl in the audience, you know. And I tell him to stop. That's not nice. She's nice. No, she's not. Don't talk to her. Okay, she's looking at me. I know. She really likes me. That's your imagination. No, it's her imagination. Blah blah blah. So we got sidetracked, but that's it. That's the humor. That's the fun part of it. That's what gives you and the character a split in terms of two people, not just one. People, you'll get a compliment when people say to you, "I swear there's two people on stage, and yet it's still just you." And that's the way you want it to come across. Oh, you've gone muted on me. You're still muted. Oh, there you are.
There's something that happened to you when you were pretty young that I think a lot of people on this webinar can identify with. You met a hero and he sat down and gave you some time and completely, and I think it completely changed your life. And, you know, anytime that you can line a young person up with somebody who could really just change their life, and a lot of people on this webinar have the ability to go reach out to a young person, a mentee, change their life. So just tell us a little bit about that event, because I think it's a lot more significant than you do.
Well, yeah, interesting. And 1969, I think it was, my dad was working in a local film production. It was a series called Littlest Hobo. It's about a dog that rescued people and caught criminals and helped the police and so on. You know, kind of a Lassie thing. And they had a series, and it went every week for several years. Black and white, by the way. My dad was an actor, and he got a job on one of the series as a bartender. And in that particular one, that particular show, Edgar Bergen was a guest star. And he was here employed as a sideshow barker kind of thing. And he was doing, you know, sidewalk shows and stuff like that. That was the character that he played. Anyway, Dad told me that Bergen was in the show, and would you like to meet him? I says, oh, yeah. And Bergen was very kind, and he invited me to join him for dinner at his hotel. And I was just like blown over with that. I didn't know how to, I was so starstruck, I didn't know how to react to him. So anyway, I packed up Noseworthy in a little suitcase and took him along, which was a good move. And I checked the suitcase at the reception in the restaurant hotel, and went to join Mr. Bergen. And he was sitting there eating his steak, kind of like just acknowledged me, but didn't say very much. And I just watched him eat his steak. And then he put down his knife and fork, moved his plate aside, put on his glasses, and said, "So, your dad tells me that you build puppets." So, "Oh, yes, Mr. Bergen, I do." He says, "Well, have you got something you could show me?" I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I do." So I went out to the front desk, picked up my suitcase, brought in the restaurant, took out Noseworthy. No, it was Clarence, pardon me. My first kid, little boy puppet, Clarence. That's way before Noseworthy. And he he looked at it, he put on his glasses, he looked at it, and he was quite impressed. He says, "Your work is very good. I will recommend you for anyone who asks me where to get dummies, puppets." And I was like, oh gosh, I was just like, "Oh, Mr. Bergen, thank you so much." He wrote me a little letter, which I still have on his personal stationery, touting my skill as a figure builder. He never really saw me work as a ventriloquist, but he looked at me as I was doing my little demo, and he says, "Wait a minute." He says, "Your voice you're producing," I was actually producing the voice, as we would call it, the distant voice. "Hello, hello." It's down deeper. "Hello, how are you?" No, he says, "Bring it forward, up here."
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now all of a sudden the voice was projecting. It was much cleaner and clearer, and that was the best bit of advice I guess I ever had, because that sort of got me going. Because I'd learned everything about ventriloquism from a book, which really wasn't too clear on some of these things. But nonetheless, Mr. Bergen was very, very generous. He kept in touch with me over the years. He sent me a few autographs, 8x10s, which I still have, cherished memorabilia. And we corresponded a bit over the years. I never took up his invitation to go down and visit him. He had a restaurant in LA called the Gourmet, or the Gourmand. I think it was called the Gourmet, was his restaurant. Unfortunately, in those days, I was just not able to do that. But that was the beginning for me. That kind of really opened up my eyes to the possibilities, and the fact that maybe I wasn't as bad as I thought I was as a kid. You know, had no idea at what level I was at, or how good I was, or anything about it. I knew my puppets were pretty good. So yeah, that was kind of the big aha moment for me, Mr. Bergen, meeting him. And even to this day, while performing, I still use a lot of his style or technique. I learned how to, by watching him. And even to this day, I can still look at some of his old videos, which you can find on YouTube, and watch him work with Charlie and how Charlie comes alive. And that puppet was a very simple, a little boy character in a top hat and a tuxedo. It came alive for me. It didn't have any special animation, just a moving mouth and the head, and no moving eyes, no eyebrows, no gimmicks. And it was really simple. And it was, to me, the absolute best example of ventriloquism, manipulation, puppetry, call it what you want. But that was my touchstone. If I ever wanted to sort of get back to what I really believed in terms of how to present myself as a ventriloquist, I would look at Bergen and say, "Oh yeah, I remember now." And it always inspired me to watch him work, even to this day. So that's
That's a great example again for professionals and business people on this webinar, that go help some young person and be a mentor, and go find someone to model, because you modeled him.
That's right. You're so right. And the same thing applies. Sorry, Alan.
Said to meet him personally and be able to model him and be getting letters from him. That made a big difference, I'm sure.
Well, it did. It opened up a whole new world for me, and I became so. Oh, what happened? You disappeared. I see you. I don't hear you. What happened?
Here I am.
Oh, okay. Good now.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Hey, I got it. Somebody has a question for you.
Yes.
Do you write your own humor or do you use stock humor, whatever that
Both.
is?
Yeah, well, stock humor is like when you start out, it's like, well, unless you have a natural bent for comedy, you're like a comedian and like write all the time, and you come up with ideas, and that's how what comedy clubs were so good for, because you could go in and work out material, and you would die or succeed, or you could sort stuff out. I find that when I started, I went to comedy books. I would listen to TV. Sitcoms, anywhere I'd hear a funny line, something I liked, I would use it. And then in time, I eventually created my own material, often around an idea that maybe I picked up from something I read or a sitcom that I was watching that gave me an idea for a line of material that I just developed myself eventually and added more to it and created more. And that's kind of how it works. It's an evolution process. Yeah, writing material is probably the most difficult part of putting an act together, is creating original material. I still have struggles with it.
You're writing some estate planning material, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Noseworthy and I have some thoughts on that. Hold on a
Don,
minute.
let me interrupt you though. We lost your video.
Yeah, I just got me in a little corner up here. Let me see.
We do.
Share.
I sent you a video cam request.
There we go. All right.
I think it was my mistake. I need a drink of water. Yeah, estate planning. That is something which Noseworthy and I have been discussing and do not agree on. Noseworthy,
What?
we need you.
Oh, God, again.
Yeah.
Is Alan still there?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, hi, Alan.
Hello, Noseworthy.
I think you aged.
No, you don't be rude.
I'm just having fun.
What are we doing? Well, estate planning.
Huh?
Estate planning. This is what the seminar is all about.
Oh,
Mhm.
estate planning.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So what happens?
Yeah.
Let's say I'm not around anymore.
Yeah, I still work.
Well, no, you don't. No.
What happens to me?
What?
When you go?
What happens to you?
Yeah.
When I go?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I might.
I'm not going to a museum, okay? Or I'm not doing the museum.
I didn't say that.
Okay,
All right.
Alan, you interested in a new partner?
No, not yet.
Soon.
Right.
I could work with him.
Yeah.
I think he's got more money than you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have an estate.
Yeah. We're in a state.
No. We have an estate.
Yes, we do. He's got tools.
Yeah. Tools. You see, the thing is, you and I have had this relationship.
Yeah.
We have a symbiotic relationship,
I never touched you.
meaning
Yeah.
that we rely on each other.
Yeah.
We are a team.
Oh.
Yeah, you see, and we need both of us in order to make the team work.
Yeah.
To make it work.
How clever of you.
Right.
Not so quick.
All right. Well,
Yeah. Go on.
well,
Go on.
I'm trying to.
Okay, just don't drag it out.
Well, I'm trying to. Yeah, you keep interrupting me. Keep your mouth shut when I'm talking.
You don't keep your mouth shut when I'm talking.
No, here we go.
Doing jokes again. What?
Okay. So, okay, the deal is
Yeah.
that we have to think about our future.
Yeah. It's already here.
Yeah, you're right about that. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking,
What about my inheritance?
your inheritance.
Yes.
Like what?
What do you got?
Well,
Do you have an income?
would you have money? No, not.
Well, what am I going to live on?
You're gonna. Yeah. What you find work.
I see. I'll find work. This does not sound too good, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm in deep trouble.
Maybe you are. Estate planning, yeah, isn't something that we have ever thought about.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, we did not.
No. So how are we going to deal with it, huh?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'll go first.
No, you. No,
No, I guess I'm not going anywhere.
no, you're not.
No.
It is something which I suppose we need to one day think about it.
Yeah. What do I inherit when you go?
Well, well,
What do I get?
well,
I get a suitcase. I know that.
yeah. Well, you probably well, you'll probably have a nice, comfortable situation.
What's that mean?
Well,
Yeah.
there's a museum.
Not doing it.
Look,
Yeah, I'm not going to the doggone museum. No, I'm not. I'm not a museum piece. I'm not a woodcarver. I'm not a
look, you heard of the Ventriloquist Museum?
Yeah, a bunch of dead dummies in there.
Yeah, well, it's a collection of ventriloquist puppets that go back hundreds of years, actually.
No,
That old? Yeah. It's in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. That's near Cincinnati.
Yeah.
It's a collection, a private collection that grew into now what is an internationally renowned collection of very unique and unusual ventriloquist paraphernalia, dummies, and all things to do with ventriloquism.
So,
Well, wouldn't you like to go there one day?
no.
Well, we've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we visit every now and then because they have a convention, a ventriloquist convention it's usually in July,
Yeah.
and they have ventriloquists from all around the world come to attend that,
Yeah.
tour the museum, do shows, workshopping, swap and shop, all kinds of things. If you're interested in the world of ventriloquism,
Yeah.
that's where you want to go.
So that's where I'm going.
Well,
Is that my end place?
your end place,
It
could be.
Is there money in it?
No, not for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, the ventriloquists eventually, of course, disappear.
Yeah, you're right.
Edgar Bergen, for example, his characters, Charlie McCarthy, Mortimer Snerd, Effie Clinker,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they are now installed
Install.
in the Smithsonian Museum.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
No, they're not. You can go and see them.
Ah.
It's a piece of pop culture, of American culture, many years ago, and it's still relevant today because depending on your age, of course,
Yeah.
not everybody in the younger generations knows who Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy were, but that is a piece of Americana, a piece of history, entertainment history. Yeah, and particularly because it was a radio show that was so famous. He also eventually did television and some films. He worked with W.C. Fields.
Yeah.
Charlie and Fields always had this feud, which was fun stuff. And, they're always at each other.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of what Noseworthy and Miss Annie get into, is a bit of this back and forth insults, if you like.
Yeah. Oh, not insult.
Well, I think so.
Uh-huh. So, Alan, show me a quick little alphabet thing like ABC. Do that.
A, G, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L,
That's
M.
That's enough, Alan. That's enough. You got to charge him more.
I know.
Yeah, you're doing okay. You just got to keep working on it, Alan. Yeah,
Can you say the Peter Piper thing? Can you say Peter Piper?
He can't. I can't.
No, wait a minute. I haven't rehearsed it.
You can't do it
No, well, I haven't. Why did you bring that up?
because it's really worthwhile knowing. No, I can do it. Peter Piper, tick the peck, the tickle peckers. If Peter Piper, tick the peck, the tickle peckers. How many peckers can Peter Piper pick? Make you look good, huh?
Wow.
Not that good. Oh, thank you so much. It was hard on me.
Yes, I'm sure it was. Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit of flash, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
When you get to the point where you're comfortable with doing tongue twisters.
Tongue twisters.
Mm-hmm.
How about supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? Well, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one. Yeah, he can't do it.
No. I would suspect that everybody has a skill level when it comes. Some people are natural when it comes to singing, or are good public speakers because they have a presence on stage.
Yeah.
As a kid growing up, I was shy.
What?
I was very shy.
You were?
Yes, I was. I could not get up. Are you kidding? Get up on stage and talk to people?
No,
No, I couldn't do that.
no.
But once I had my sidekick,
Yeah, made you look good.
then all of a sudden I was not responsible for what the character was saying or what I was saying because the character was doing it. I got away with a lot of stuff, and the materials kids basically when I started out,
Yeah.
and eventually, of course, it evolved into an adult show, I guess you could say. But my confidence grew as the character became more and more successful, and as I became more and more successful. Nowadays, when I particularly working on the cruise ships, I have become very comfortable in that environment. I can relate to that crowd very well.
Because you are that crowd.
Yes. And I can actually do about a 5-minute stand-up routine
Yeah,
before I bring out Noseworthy.
yeah, that's how we do.
Hmm. And that's been really good for me. I've learned a lot by having myself out front. It was very awkward when I look at my early videos of me going on stage before I actually started the act with Noseworthy. I'd have a couple of minutes of getting comfortable, and I'd be shuffling around on my feet. I'd have the whole posture, my whole body language showed that I was not comfortable and that I was really wanting to hide and couldn't wait to get the puppet out so I didn't have to do anything.
No, and now you're just doing it with me.
Yeah.
Without me, you'd still be talking to your hand.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hmm. So it does build confidence. It is nice having a partner, a backup, as I use the term avatar.
Yeah.
Hmm. And that way, it's not you, it's him, it's the character, and that gives you license to get into a lot more fun comedy, ask silly questions or say silly things, and it's comedy. If it's funny, it's funny, and without being crude or rude. You don't have to be blue in order to be a funny ventriloquist act.
Yeah.
Hmm.
On your own, you're no good.
Well, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I can get away with it.
Yeah, you get away. I do. You don't. I do. You don't. You don't.
I do. Don't listen to him.
He's doing it again. Look, don't argue with me. I'm going to get annoyed with you.
Yeah,
You know what? He's not well.
okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's it. That's it. No more things about retirement. When are you going to retire?
I'm not going to retire.
God, you should.
I know. Alan, I don't know if this is any good to you, but
Oh,
I've had fun doing this. I hope your listeners find it entertaining, and perhaps give you folks a little bit of an insight to maybe just trying something a little different. It doesn't hurt to inject comedy into almost any presentation that you have, because I mean, you've watched TED Talks, and there are some amazing examples of how to capture people's imagination and interest. I don't think I've ever seen a ventriloquist on TED Talks, now that I mention it, think about it. And as a tool, ventriloquism,
I'm not a tool.
you're not a tool, but it is a very, very, how do you say, a very nice way of presenting material that perhaps you yourself might find either a little dry, a little difficult to put across, needs a moment perhaps of enlightenment, a little comedy, a little break, an icebreaker. As you do, Alan, you're using your character that way. And it works. It works very well, as you know how popular and response you've had. And you're not even doing that much ventriloquism. You are now. You're starting, but even without the skills as a ventriloquist, you were just showing the character as a puppet. A puppeteer would. A puppeteer works usually off camera or behind a screen, right? So they're not engaged in the conversation. But ventriloquism, it's a straight man comic team. So one works off the other. And that gives you so much more, I think, flexibility. And it's back and forth from reality to fantasy, if you wish. anyway, I can't say enough about it. I think it's ventriloquism has been really good to me. I've traveled the world and had amazing experiences, good and bad. I remember I did an evening at the Improv back in the 80s. Remember that show? And I was auditioned for it, and they said, "Oh, we love to have you on the show, but we don't want the old man character, Noseworthy." And he said, "No, we'd rather have the bird character." I said, "The bird character," but it was brand new then. I hadn't really developed anything with it. So I said, "Yeah, sure, okay." And then I had to figure out what the heck I was going to do with the character that I hardly done any work with. And so I took the bird out and did a little routine. And there's a routine at the end of the routine where the bird spits. It's like a stream of water. And it's like he does it saying like, "I'm looking for something to eat, looking for something to eat." That's what well, I got to test and see who's alive and who's dead and who's not and so on. So, proof of life, he shoots the water, and if they move and jump, he says, "That one's alive, not ready yet," that kind of thing. Well, shot the water out, and this poor woman sitting right by the stage got it right in the eye. And I went, "Oh no." And I'm going, "Oh my God." I didn't know what to do. It was horribly embarrassing. Didn't hurt her. It was just water. And it wasn't serious, but it really kind of blew it for me. Just if I'd had Noseworthy, yeah, I might have had a different outcome. But anyway, it was just one of those things. Never go out unless you prepared. Like Bergen often said, opportunity meets when preparation meets opportunity. That's when you succeed. The other thing I heard that also it says something to me is about learning, about launching yourself into a new adventure. If you continue to think like you've always thought, you will always get what you always got. And I thought, you know what, that talks to me. Because if you're not willing to make change, you won't make progress. And progress is change, change is progress. So if you can't change your mind, you won't change anything.
And we have one more question from Rob.
Yeah.
And he says, can you talk about the mechanics? What makes the puppet come alive? The eyes, the mouth, the eyebrows. How do you do all that?
How do you do all that? Well, how do I do it? Well, when I first started learning how to build a puppet, I used to sit in this workshop, this old gentleman that I had met in a toy shop one year in a Christmas back in the 50s. And he saw my interest in puppetry. He had some puppets he was demonstrating in the toy shop at Christmas. And I was fascinated because I was trying to build a puppet from a book that I had by Paul Winchell. Some of you might know who that was. He was a ventriloquist that sort of was the next one in line after Edgar Bergen. Paul Winchell was a television ventriloquist. He wrote a book called Ventriloquism for Fun and for Profit. I had that book. That's how I learned initially to build a puppet. And it had some very basic technique in terms of mechanics. The mouth was just with okay, there was a pin through here, and the jaw was on that pin, and it would go up and down, and the spring on the back would return it, right? So there was a string that opened the mouth. You have it goes down to the handle. Okay. There's this head stick or handle, and in this case, there's a trigger. That could be either a string or this one. In this one's case, it's a rod, right? And the eyes are on this device here, which is just back and forth. And then there are the eyelids, which in this particular character are quite unique. They have independent operation as well. That's all done with cables. And it gets way more complicated than that. If you want to get into it, there are many other animations. Raising eyebrows, your character that I'm working on, your little Alan guy, he's going to have raising eyebrows, left, right eyes, and a moving mouth. Good. Yeah, really good. Really good. Really good. So, and then there's a trap door in the back there, and that's how you access the mechanics, because things do go wrong occasionally. If it's a string, it might break or fray. Springs over time need to be replaced, so on. So you can get into it that way. The mechanics are basically for like just the moving mouth. It's very simple, and the eyes a little more complicated, but nothing really too amazing. It's simple mechanics. Now there are friends of mine who stateside who build figures with eyes that have 360-degree movement, if you like. They go up, down, sideways, blinking eyes, raising eyebrows, wiggling ears, upper lips that go up so they can have a smile with the upper lip showing. And there's so many other bits and pieces that you can create. I've never gotten into that. I never learned all those things, although if I need to, I suppose one day I will, just to try it out. Your character is going to have moving eyes, left, right, and eyebrows, and a mouth. You're muted now.
I keep muting myself to have better bandwidth. So,
It's okay.
so I want to close here, but I want to make sure I mention that the lessons have been very inexpensive and very enjoyable.
Thank
So
you.
if anyone here would like to take a lesson from Don, or has a young child that would like to learn, because I started ventriloquism when I was 11 or 12, and I played with a dummy, and so that sort of gave me an inkling that I could do it. But boy, you put a 7 or 8-year-old in Don's hands by video calls, they can really be doing a great job. But then you also do corporate events, which,
Yes.
you know, when Marcia first met you for my second lesson, and just the way you and Noseworthy spoke to Marcia and teased her a little bit and teased me a little bit, you'd be really smart to do like a birthday call. I mean, anyone who has a young person or a friend, just to have a birthday call from Don, I think that would be, great, because after about 15 seconds, your mind forgets that that's a puppet and you think it's a little man. The other thing I want to mention is what we're doing, or what I'm doing when I start my little talks with that silly little puppet, is I'm letting everybody use their inner child. As adults and so serious, and I need to know about estate tax. Well, let's use the inner child a little bit here and laugh a little bit and just enjoy. And as stupid as my humor is, everyone loves it so much more than anything else I do. So for those of you who are out there, I could just tell you, why do I use these puppets? Is it my business model? Well, actually, I love doing them, and I think it's really cool, and I play with them. But it's also a good business model. It works well. So,
Well,
try. Don, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Alan. And your take on this is really refreshing and inspires me also, because after all the years I've been doing this, I've been always wondering, like, what else can one do with this that would be helpful, that would be useful, not just fun, but also serve a purpose. In some cases, like I said, I was a shy kid, very shy, and this kind of brought me out of my shell, if you wish, and over the years evolved into something more, much more interesting. And I think anybody who wants to do it just for fun, they'll have fun with it. Absolutely. If you want to incorporate it into your business model to illustrate the idea of being able to inject comedy and a light side to your more serious material or your business, why not? There's nothing wrong with it. People will enjoy it, as you've experienced, Alan. Your feedback has been all positive about it. And thank you so much for including me in your presentation. I'm flattered that you would do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you involved in some children's charities too, whether you like it or not, and we'll make some kids.
I'd love to do that. I used to do charities, and when I got involved in the other end of the business, mostly working ships, I was always away. So I was never available for work. And now that's tapered off, and it's coming back, but I don't want to do as much as I was doing before. I'm just not interested in traipsing across the world with all my luggage to join a ship in Hong Kong or something. It's all been fun and interesting, but you know what? I can have just as much fun working a little on a smaller scale and more locally, and trying new things like what we're doing today.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, Don, thank you so much. Jerry Hesh is on, and I hope you and Noseworthy have a great day today.
You too, Alan. Thank you again, Kelsey, for helping us out.